Hey friends, and welcome to the Girl Means Business podcast. I'm your host, Kendra Swalls, a photographer and educator on a mission to help you find your passion, power, and purpose through entrepreneurship. So let's jump right into today's episode because this girl means business. Hello, and welcome back to the Girl Means Business podcast. I am so excited that you're here this week. Thank you so much for tuning in. Before we get into today's quick tip episode, I wanted to remind you, if you have not left a review for this podcast over on iTunes, please go do so right now. Not only is it a wonderful way for you to let us know your thoughts and ideas for this podcast, but it's also a really great way for other people to find the podcast and learn about what it's all about and why they should be listening as well. So if you could hit pause for just a second, head to iTunes and leave us a quick review, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. All right, let's get into today's episode. So I changed up the episode order for this week because there's just been something that has been on my mind recently, on my heart, that I wanted to share with you. And it was a perfect episode for this kind of quick tip episode. And what I want to talk about is gratitude and being grateful specifically for how far you have come in your journey. Now, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I've just started a business, or I'm still in the process of figuring out what kind of business I want to build, or I've only been doing this for a couple of months, you still have progress. We are constantly growing and evolving as people and as business owners. And even if you have been in business for 1 month, you can look back at where you were a month ago and see the growth, see the progress. And so many times we focus on the next step. We focus on where we aren't at, what point we haven't reached yet, that we forget to recognize and celebrate the place we're at in our lives and our business. I struggled with this for a really long time because I felt like I don't have time to stop and celebrate these things. I have to keep going. And of course, as your business grows, your goals, your dreams, your visions get bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's really easy to go, okay, well, that thing that I accomplished doesn't feel that big anymore because I have these bigger ideas ahead of me. I have these grander plans in front of me. But it's really, really important for you to stop. It's really important for you to take a moment and go, I did these things. Even if it's something as simple as I completed a task. I checked off something on a to-do list that I've been meaning to do for a while. Or I took the first step in starting my business. I signed up for a course. I listened to these podcasts. I put into practice the things that I'm learning from this mentor or business coach. Those are the things we need to give ourselves credit for. And I think we are so hard on ourselves and we are so determined to just keep pushing forward that we forget to sit back. And I love this example of visual representation. I love visual representations, visual examples. And someone mentioned to me one time, and I believe I've shared this here on the podcast before, imagine that you are trying to push this giant boulder down a road. If you just are constantly pushing forward, always leaning forward, eventually you're going to fall flat on your face. And so every once in a while, it's okay to just sit upright. Just sit back on your haunches and take a break and go and look around you. Look at your surroundings. Turn around and look how far down the road you've already pushed that boulder. And I feel like seeing from what I see on social media, from talking to my coaching clients or my business friends, that this is something we all sort of struggle with. And so I want to give you a perfect example of taking time to really reflect and celebrate. As I'm recording this episode, I am packing my bags and I am heading to Las Vegas. So the time this episode goes live, I will be kind of wrapping up my time there. I'm going to Las Vegas, not for pleasure trip, although it's Vegas, it's going to be fun. But I'm going there to speak at a photography conference called WPPI, a pretty large photography conference, pretty well known. And it still kind of blows my mind to say that I'm going to go speak at this conference. Because when I was starting out as a photographer, just learning how to use my camera, how to take great photos, composure and lighting and all of those things. And not even to mention the business side of running a business. I would go to these conferences and I would sit in these rooms and listen to these incredible photographers and businesswomen and businessmen talk about these things that I had no clue about. And I remember thinking, these people are so far down the road. It's incredible. I cannot wait to be at that point. But it also seemed so far away. There was no way I was going to achieve that. And here I am packing my bag to go do just that, to go speak in front of a group of photographers and help them to move their business forward. And it kind of hit me their day because in the chaos of planning for it and getting everything organized and getting everything together and creating the presentation and doing all the things, I haven't taken the time to really let it sink in that the version of me 7 years ago, sitting in one of those classrooms, looking at that educator going, that's a really powerful moment for them to be in front of these people and looking up to them as such successful business owners. I am now living that dream. And because I have such big plans for my business, and this is just one little piece of it, it could easily be something that I just kind of brush off as being like, oh yeah, I'm going to go speak at this thing. It's no big deal. And I've caught myself saying that. I've caught myself saying, oh, it's no big deal. The first time I had my photos published in print in a magazine, I didn't stop and celebrate that. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's great. Check that off the box. Let's keep moving. And when I look back now and I think, oh my gosh, I had my photos published in a magazine. That's a big deal. And I think it's so easy for us to brush those things off because we have this greater plan for our lives and our business. So in this episode, I want you to take the moment this week to reflect on where you are in your business. What is something that you have accomplished? What is something that you have done that you are proud of yourself for doing? It could be something as simple as this week I cleaned out my inbox and I am now all caught up. It could be something as simple as I finally chose the logo for my business. Or I finally hired that business coach that I've been wanting to work with. Or I posted to social media 3 times this week and I gained 5 new followers. As insignificant as that might seem in the big scheme of things, it is a win for you and your business. So I want you this week to take time to stop, to pause for a moment, to sit back, stop pushing forward for just a moment, sit back and reflect on, look how far I've come. Another example of a time that I've done this, and I've done this multiple times, is I, as a photographer, would always feel like my images were just not where I wanted them to be. Again, it goes to that whole idea of you get to a certain level and there's always another level you want to strive for. So you get to that next level and there's always another level you want to strive for. And so when I would start to feel like I wasn't making progress or I was frustrated with the lack of movement in my business, I would go back and I would look at the photos I took 1 year ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago once I got that far out. And I could see just how far I'd come. And I would do like a social media post, a then and now, and I would post a side by side of the first senior portrait I ever took versus what I shot this week. And just having that reflection, whether it was personal or putting it out on social media as a reminder to other people to do the same thing, it was allowing me to pause, to stop trying to hustle and keep moving forward for just a moment, and to reflect on how far I'd come. And that visual aspect of it, the visual piece of it for me was really the factor, because a lot of times the things we do in our business are these abstract things. You know, it's booking a client online, it's selling a product, it's posting to social media or connecting with people or, doing all of these things that kind of just fade away once they're gone. Once you send that email, you don't really go back through your sent emails. Once you schedule that call, you don't go back to other things, look at it again. And so for me, having that visual representation of where I was and where I am was a really big piece of it. So one of the things I want to recommend to you, no matter where you are in your business, is I want you to start writing down the things you want to accomplish in the next month, in the next 6 months, in the next year, in the next 3 years or 5 years, however far out you want to go. But I want you to write them down, big, small, medium, whatever it is. You could write down, in the next 2 months, I want to have a logo and a brand kit done for my business. In the next 2 months, I want to be posting to social media consistently once a day, every day, 5 days a week. In the next 2 months, I want to book 2 new clients or sell 10 new items, whatever it is you're doing. And I want you to put that somewhere that in 2 months, you can go back and look at it. And you can see, oh my gosh, you know what? It didn't take me 2 months to get my brand kit and logo design done. I did it in 2 weeks. And now that I have it done, I have my website done. Look how far I've come in 2 months. And again, those are all things that it's easy to just kind of glaze over. It's easy to just kind of like walk by and be like, oh yeah, check, done that, been there, done that. But when you stop and you look and you think, you know what, 3 months ago, this business was just an idea. And now I have a logo and a brand kit and a website. And I've scheduled a photo shoot with a photographer to get photos for my website. And I've started a social media page. Those are all big milestones that I don't want you to pass over. If you're further along in your business, I want you to think back. I want you to take a moment and imagine that you are sitting across the table from the version of yourself that you were when you started your business. What would that person say to you? I was scrolling through Instagram Reels the other day, and I saw someone, she had created this reel and it said, imagine your younger self running up to give you a hug right now. And she started crying in the video. She was like, in the caption, it was like, I didn't intend to cry. But I started thinking about just how proud she would be of me. And I want you to do that. I want you to imagine sitting across the table from your younger self, whether that version of you is a year ago, 5 years ago, 3 months ago, 10 years ago, whatever it is. Go back to that point in your business or that point in your life where you felt like where you were right now wasn't possible, or where you felt like the point you are right now was so far down the road. And I want you to imagine sitting across from her and what she would say to you. Would she be so proud of you, so excited for you? Would she be jumping for joy? Would she skip over those little milestones, or would she stop and recognize them and celebrate them? So I listen to a lot of different podcasts. It's one of the things I enjoy doing, especially now my kids are both in school. During the day, I can put in my headphones, listen to podcasts, and get things done in my business or running errands or around the house. Most of the time, I listen to a lot of business-related ones, but I also like to listen to some kind of entertainment ones. And the two of the ones I listen to that are sort of popular entertainment style, celebrity style podcasts are Armchair Expert and Smartless. And it never fails. Both of them, they interview celebrity guests, kind of big name people. And it amazes me how many times they talk about this exact thing. They talk about feeling that imposter syndrome of, how on earth should I be here? At some point, somebody's going to figure out that I shouldn't be here. Or they'll talk about, the goals they had when they first came to Hollywood were something as simple as, oh, I just want to be on the cover of a magazine, a People magazine or Us Weekly. And then, to look at where they are now and how silly that feels but back then that was such a big accomplishment. And that those are not trivial things, that those are stepping stones along the way. And that those are powerful things to look back and reflect on. So when you hear that these big celebrities are having these same thoughts, these same struggles, these same ideas, it tells me that this is not just isolated to what we do. It's not isolated to being a woman. It's not isolated to being an entrepreneur or a mom or any of those things. It is human nature to always be looking forward. You know, and you'll hear people say, don't worry about the past is in the past, just keep going forward. And I think in some cases, that's a great thing to focus on. But I also think it's okay every once in a while to look in the rearview mirror and go, look how far down the road I am. Look how far I have pushed this boulder down this road, and look how hard I've worked to do it. So I challenge you this week as I am headed to Las Vegas to celebrate and appreciate and soak up every moment of this goal that I have achieved in my business. I want you to take time this week to stop, to celebrate, to reflect, to appreciate something you have done in your business. Or I want you to celebrate how far you have come in your business. I want you to think about that version of you, that younger, past version of you, and what she would say to you right now. I want you to imagine her giving you the biggest hug and telling you how proud she is of you. So I know this episode was a little bit more deep, heartfelt. It's not the typical, like, here's some practical advice for you. But when I feel like there's something that's on my mind and my heart that I want to share in these episodes, I feel like it's for a reason. And that reason could be that you listening to this right now needed to hear this message. Or maybe you found this episode weeks and months after it came out live and it is speaking to you right now. For whatever reason, I felt like somebody needed to hear these thoughts and these ideas and this message. If it doesn't resonate with you, that's fine. Move on. But I think every single person who's ever run a business can relate to that feeling of being frustrated and stuck and needing to turn around and look back and go, but look how far I've come. So I hope that this has helped you. I hope this has made you stop for just a moment and reflect and appreciate and be proud of yourself, because I'm proud of you. If you are listening to this podcast, that means you are taking action. You are doing something because you want to improve your business, your life, where the position you're in, whatever it might be. And that alone deserves credit. That alone deserves a pat on the back for doing something to move the needle forward today, even if that something is just taking in information. So if you're not willing to say it to yourself, I will say it to you. I am proud of you. I'm proud of how far you've come. I'm proud of the work you're putting in. And I'm proud of you for being here and learning something and doing something to improve yourself and your business. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble on for a good 20 minutes about this. I hope it resonated with you. I hope you are having a fabulous week. And I will definitely check out my Instagram and Instagram stories for all the behind the scenes of my conference this week. And I will see you back here next week, same time, same place. Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. And as always, you can find any links or resources mentioned in today's show down in the show notes. And if we're not friends outside of the podcast yet, then what are you waiting for? Come find me on Instagram at Girl Means Business. Send me a DM letting me know what you thought of today's episode or any of the past episodes you've listened to. You can also take a screenshot of today's episode and post it to your stories, tagging at Girl Means Business, and I'll give you a shout out on my page. I love connecting with you and hearing all about your business and can't wait to get to know you more. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will meet you back here next week, same time, same place.